Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us for the webinar of dynaCERT. I've got Jim Payne, who is the Director, President, and CEO of the company with me here. dynaCERT is a carbon reduction emissions technology that is tackling the problems of today versus the problems that you may have heard from our lovely governments that are down the road. So it's my distinct pleasure here to introduce Jim Payne, to tell us a little bit more about the company. Full disclosure, I am a happy shareholder, and I look to be supportive of the company on a go-forward basis. These are things that I have to tell you before we get started here. But Jim, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sebastian. It's a pleasure.
Perfect.
So we love to say we're a Canadian company, but we're a Canadian company we are a proud Canadian company with a global solution to reduce pollution. Here's our forward-looking statements. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but highlights of the company. So, like Sebastian said, we are a carbon emission reduction technology. This has given us international growth strategy. We're diversified within the trucking, mining, oil and gas, multiple verticals, and we have the proprietary know-how and patents. We actually have 27 patents. So that we clearly believe that puts us as a leadership base in the hydrogen technology. The carbon credit measurement, we have the potential reoccurring revenue on carbon credits. We'll talk about more about that down the future. Higher barriers to entry, we a dominant competitor advantage. We have a very compelling value proposition to the end users with less than a 1-year payback with our technology, and along with very strong margins and a very attractive business model. So we have what we call the HydraGEN. It is a patented technology. dynaCERT, we developed and commercialized patented proprietary electrolyzers called the HydraGEN. What this does is this actually produces pure hydrogen, pure oxygen from distilled water. It produces it on demand, feeds it to the intake of a combustion engine to enhance the burn. We're not a fuel, we are a catalyst, but by introducing measured amounts or the right mixture of hydrogen and oxygen to, say, a diesel engine, it results in higher power, more torque, improved fuel economy, and certainly a very significant reduction in emissions. Our on-demand product, which we call the H2, it's under no pressure. It produces the hydrogen and oxygen on demand. So never at any given time are you storing hydrogen, but it is producing it and feeding it to the internal combustion engine. It takes a very small amount of electricity from the engine's battery or from the engine's electrical system, but it produces the hydrogen and delivers it to the air intake. We do this with the trucking industry. Our first entry to market was the trucking industry, the transport trucks. Certainly, if you could pick the toughest market in the world to try and enter into, it's probably that. They've been inundated forever. Put this in your oil, put this in your tires, put this in your gas tank, shove this up your tailpipe, and it just goes on and on and on. People promising to improve their fuel economy. What we do with our technology, it is something that is proven. It has a strong track record, but it also is monitored in real time, where it shows them in real time actual improvements in the fuel economy and actual reductions in the emissions. When I talk about the emissions, we talk about the particulate matter, which is the black smoke. And this is something that always gets me. You look at the trucking industry today, they have what's called the DPF system. It's diesel particulate filters, where it is filtering out this black smoke or this particulate matter, but then they go through what's called a regen, and it just burns it all off, puts it all right back in the atmosphere. What the government has done is they've made you feel better so you don't see the black smoke. But if you ever seen a truck go into a regen, you'd swear the truck was on fire. It engulfs itself in smoke, puts it all right back in the atmosphere. Where with a technology where you can get a cleaner burn right at the source or right at the combustion, this is real, true difference in cleaning up the emissions and making a huge difference in the environment. I talk about the emissions. We look at the emissions benefits. We reduce the NOx, the NOx, which is the most deadly gas produced by a diesel engine, up to 88%. The reduction in CO2, 6 to 19%. Now, these are averages. the reduction of carbon monoxide up to 47%, the THC or the hydrocarbons 57%, and the particulate matter 55%. Again, I want to stress the fact that this is all happening at the source, at the combustion. This is not through a filtration. This is not something that's gathering it and putting it back into the landfill site, things like that. This is actually improving this right at the combustion. It's interesting, if you go back over 50 years, there's white papers, engineered papers, where it clearly proved and stated that the introduction of hydrogen to an internal combustion engine enhances the burn. The challenge has always been, you've got to have the right mixture. If you don't have the right mixture, you don't get the results. That's where we have spent over 20 years and over $90 million to perfect this technology, where it is fully computerized. It determines the proper flow rate of gases, feeds the proper flow rate of gases to get the end result. We look at economic benefits. Again, the reduction in fuel consumption or the improvement in fuel consumption on an average 6 to 19%. Again, I say average because some companies out there, they say, oh, well, we will reduce it up to 25%. Our technology does at times. Matter of fact, we had a truck in Europe, which was tested by the government there, went up to 28% when it was traveling through the Black Forest and through the, where it was climbing the hills and stuff like that. But on an average, overall average, 6 to 19%. I always typically say we're at 10 to 15%. That is sort of the box where we're typically in, but at a 6 to 19% average in fuel economy. The reduction in diesel exhaust fluid. This is the urea fluid that the trucking industry has been sold, that is used to spray into the combustion to reduce the NOx. We reduce that. We reduce the use of the diesel exhaust fluid up to 51%, and that is done because of the fact that we have reduced the NOx so significantly at the combustion. Again, the DPF filter up to 33% lasts longer, and the reduction of oil changes estimated at 25%. It's interesting. There was actually 2 trucks, identical trucks. This was performed by Detroit Diesel back a few years ago with our technology on it, where they used 2 trucks, did an oil change, put them out to work, running the same routes with the same weight, everything like that, came back at the same time for an oil change. They changed the oil on the one without a unit on. It came back at 8% soot content. They said that's typical, that's normal. The one with a unit on it came back at less than 1% soot content. And it's the soot that breaks down the oil and starts wearing out the engine. That just proved the fact how much cleaner the engine is burning, how much cleaner the engine is running because of the introduction of hydrogen. This was something that we spent a lot of time, a lot of effort. When I took over the company, I said, before we start selling this thing, I want this thing tested, I want it validated, I want it computerized, I want this to be a bolt-on product. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort to do that, and then we sent it out for testing. Initially, we were working with the University of Ontario, UOIT, in their very sophisticated lab, just doing testing so we could get to the proper flow rate of gases. After that, we went to the PIT group here in Canada, which is considered the gold standard in the trucking industry. They ran our truck. Now, they run it for 100 kilometers around a perfectly flat track. They bring it up to 100 kilometers an hour, set a cruise, run it for 100 kilometers. So they are doing a test of what they consider the perfect running conditions of an engine of a truck. And so they did that. They came back. They got unbelievable results. Matter of fact, the engineer from PIT Group said that these results were to be envied. We also had it tested through Continental and Emitech in Europe. We've done this to get the European homologation so that our product could be sold throughout Europe. We did this along with TÜV North and TÜV South. It was interesting when they tested it, the first time they tested it, and they put it on a brand new truck. They put it out for a month to work in the Black Forest, brought it back, did the actual testing on lab in a chassis or a dyno, ran the truck on a dyno, got the results, scratched their head. They said this was impossible. We got to do it again. There's something wrong. They did the testing the second time, they got the same results. They said, we got to bring in some independent professors and engineers to oversee this and test it the third time. They tested the third time, they got the same results, and then they pass it on to ABE, KBA for the homologation. They said, this is impossible. We want you to test this a fourth time under our guidance. They did this thing 4 times. When I was talking about those results where we were showing you, on the reductions in emissions, something like that, those are the actual results from this test. And that's when we got the homologation. Also, we have independent testimonials, but we have what we call the Hydrolytica. The Hydrolytica is our technology. It is patented, it is trademarked. It is our data collection system. It is like a fleet management system on steroids. But what it's literally doing, it's measuring the improvement of fuel economy on a minute-by-minute state. It's measuring the reduction in emissions, something like that. And the reason we're doing all this, because we've gone through the process and for Verra, for carbon credits, so that we can actually have qualified carbon credits, and also so that the end user can see in real time. They download an app on their phone, on their computer, and they can see in real time whether they got 1 truck out there, they've got 1,000 trucks out there. They can look at every individual truck, see the improvements of the fuel economy, the reduction in the greenhouse gases, the reduction in the carbon footprint, and certainly in today's world, with the ESG reporting, which is becoming so important, this again is worth its weight in gold. We look at the product line. Like I said, our first one to market was the HG1 unit. That was designed for a Class 8 truck. Then we designed a smaller one for the smaller engines, 1 to 8 liter engines, a typical delivery truck. But originally it was actually designed, we had a grocer chain here in Canada that runs refrigerated containers, these big reefers, and which has a small, like a 2 liter diesel engine that runs 24/7 for the cooling. And so this was what that was developed for. Now, probably one of our most popular items are the 4Cs and 6Cs. Again, this is for the mining equipment. You look at the mining equipment, all the bigger equipment, and you'll see some pictures later of them. But this is for a 40 to 100 liter engine. And then there is areas where, we've got customers where have much bigger engines. Matter of fact, in Voisey Bay, they have one large generator that is powered with 4 of our HG6s or H6s powering that. This is just highlighting our HG1 series. So this is a series which is typical for a transport truck. It is a unit. It is about the size of a small carry-on suitcase, mounts to the back of the truck. And then we've got the smaller unit, the HG2. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, just showing you what the actual units look like. Here is a truck, a Class 8 truck with our unit on it. Here we've got, now if you look on the left, now this is a large grocer chain that carries a heavy load. This is actually a company in Mexico. They have 2 of our HG2s parallel on each of their trucks. We've just actually shipped another 18 units off to this company. This will be our 3rd order from them. On the right-hand side, you see 2 of our HG1s. This is powering a mid-sized generator for the drilling companies out in the oil fields. Again, here you see them on, you can see it, the one on the left is on a dump truck, the one on the right on a bulldozer. Again, this is just showing different pictures of the actual units out in the field. Now this is the real actual results. This is actually, this product, this data is provided to us by H2 Tech. H2 Tech is our dealer that deals specifically in the mining industry. This is all they do. They are 100% committed. All they do is sell dynaCERT products to the mining industry. They have been around the world in the mining industry. Actually, Export Development Canada has sort of taken them on as a poster child, taken them around the world, showcasing dynaCERT products in the mining industry. But this shows you in real time, real results, like the Komatsus, the big cats, all these big mining equipment. And then the one on the bottom, that is actually the dynamometer test that was actually done in Europe. Again, I talk about the power generation. So you can see on the left there, that is our 4C, which is running a power generator. And then on the right, they're running the same things for, again, this was for the oil fields. This is our 4C. This is the one that's for the 40 to 60 liter diesel engine. And then we've got our larger one, the 60 to 90 liter diesel engines, which again are used specifically in the mining industry, the big power generation, and now in the locomotive industry. So if we look at this truck here, you can see, I mean, this is, if I stood up beside that tire, my head would not come even close to the top of the tire, but you see up there the yellow outfit, that is our HG6C or H6C, the larger unit for the mining industry. We look at the target markets that we're currently serving. Currently, we're serving the busing, refrigerated trailers, small trucks. Now, I say small trucks, I'm talking a typical delivery truck, like a 5-ton truck. Then a Class 8 trucks, power generation, farming or agricultural, construction, and mining equipment. And then what we're calling the initiated. So the initiated is actually, we've now, and you're going to hear more about this in the near future, we've initiated projects within the locomotive and the small marine vessels. The future is passenger vehicles. We've got several companies in Europe. They love the diesel cars. They're asking us to do something for the diesel cars. But the ocean vessels, this is something that is so near and dear to my heart. And actually, Sebastian and I have had several talks about this. It is baffling. We look at these container ships that are in the ocean, something that has ran under the radar screen, for years. Something the governments have made such a focus on EV, talking what we got to do to save the planet with electric cars and stuff like that. And I'm not knocking electric cars, but you take one ocean vessel, one of these container ships, one single ship puts out the equivalent of 50 million cars per year. If we take 17 of these container ships, that's equivalent to every car, every vehicle on the roads in the world. It just baffles me, where we get so hot and so caught up on certain things that really, I'm not saying it's not going to make a difference, but there is much more important areas that we can make such a big difference. And that's where, I look at the ocean-going vessels, I look at the locomotives. Like I said, we've just recently initiated projects in the locomotive industry. We've got a company that is very aggressively, taking hold of that. And that's where I really think we can make a massive difference in the world. We talk about the diverse applications. I mean, this just shows, our technology on everything from a Class 8 trucks to bulldozers to drilling rigs, again, to underground mining equipment and into the mining equipment. We talk about the value proposition to the end user. So in North America, I mean, the average truck, runs 161,000 kilometers. So if we do the calculations on that strictly based on fuel savings, our return on investment is well less than 1 year with our technology. Now, if we add in all the additional benefits, the reduced DEF fluid, which is very costly, the reduced, the extended life of the DPF filters, which is very costly, but more importantly to me, the reduction in the emissions, and then we convert that to CO2e or to carbon credits, that's going to be massive. We look at the market size. I mean, the market size is huge. I mean, there's over 1 billion internal combustion engines in the world today. There's 100 million of them, new engines being built every year. Diesel engines, especially, in everything from, the bigger equipment, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to be around for years. I believe eventually, what will replace them will be hydrogen engines. And that's where we've had ongoing discussions with, all the OEMs. As a matter of fact, just last week, we had 50 of the largest companies here in, actually it was global, that came here and visited dynaCERT and Cypher Neutron, that are looking at, merging into the hydrogen economy and stuff like that. And we had, literally OEMs here, and we had great conversations with them, and they believe that, or they are spending now tens of millions of dollars in the development of hydrogen engines for the future. But they say that, they're 20, 25 years out, where they see our technology, our current technology, as a bridge to that technology, to the hydrogen economy. We sell through dealer networks. We've got currently 48 qualified dealers globally. We're in 55 countries of the world. We are a Canadian company. We've got dynaCERT GmbH, which is an 100% wholly owned subsidiary of dynaCERT, which is in Germany, with a distribution center there for Europe. We are in talks and we anticipate, within the next year to 18 months that we will be entering into likely some joint ventures within a few countries to expand our manufacturing to meet the world's demands. I talked briefly about the Hydrolytica. Again, this is our Hydrolytica. This is our data collection. I mean, the benefits, it automatically reporting and all the analytics. And you can download this. They can download this on their phone. They can also download it on their computer at the office, and they can monitor every single unit out there. We look at our business model, and I said earlier, we spent, over $90 million in expenditure to develop and commercialize this product. It took us 19 years to do this. This is not an easy feat. There is companies out there that has been trying to do this for years, but we are now fully commercialized and shipping products around the world. We have an assembly plant here in Canada, in Toronto, which we newly upgraded during the last 2 years with the assembly plant, whereas a semi-automated assembly plant, we've got the capability here to produce 6,000 units a month. We look at the cost of production, it's 50% of the wholesale price, so there's very, very nice profit margins in there for the company, which will benefit, obviously, the company and therefore the shareholders. Products are sold through a global network, again, in Europe with our dynaCERT GmbH. We look at the dealer network. It ensures local sales, marketing, and service. It reduces sales and marketing overhead, multiple target markets. We have multiple product versions, which we have changed and adapted to the customers at the customer's request, so that we've now got what we believe a perfect fit for most of the applications out there. We are continually doing research and development. Like I said, we are now merging into the locomotive, and then our goal is into the big container ships and everything like that. That will demand much bigger units than what we've got today. I'm very excited for this. I think that the opportunity there is massive. Comparable technologies. I'm sure everybody sees these today. The skirts underneath trailers. It was interesting. Probably 10 years ago, I was at Kentucky Truck Show, which is North America's largest truck show, when these skirts were launched. And it was so interesting to walk around and hear all these trucking companies saying there is no effing way we will ever have these under our trailers. Where today, they're hard-pressed to find a trailer anywhere in North America and in Europe, and probably in most parts of the world without them. On an average, they improve the fuel economy on an average of 1% at a cost of $3,000. Our unit cost, the end person in the trucking world, in the Class 8 trucks, just under $10,000. So if you look at $10,000 and a 10% fuel savings, that is 3 times better investment than what the comparable is. So I do believe that we will hit that tipping point where we will see these units all over the globe. Carbon credits. This is something that has been near and dear to our heart. We have spent a lot of time and a lot of effort with Verra. Verra is the largest, the most widely accepted company in the world for verifying carbon credits. We have the methodology which has been approved by Verra. They have gone through the final versions. They had set it out for independent audit, came back with raving reviews over the last month and a half, 2 months. They've been going through their final review. As of yesterday, it was just sent out for the final processing, and so that everything is perfectly aligned for Verra. This was a company that Verra asked us to do just to make sure that everything was aligned properly within the methodology. This is anticipated. The company said that it should be back by early next week. We have our AGM coming up on the 26th or 27th of this month. I fully expect that we will be formally launching the carbon credit program at that time. Certainly looking very forward to it. We've got some of the largest companies, some of the largest logistics companies and trucking companies in the world that keep saying, Jim, the day you've got the carbon credits, we're all over this. It will be a very, very attractive deal for the company, and it'll be very attractive for the end user. The way this has been designed, it has been set up so that the end user gets 50% of the carbon credits. dynaCERT maintains 50% of the carbon credits. I look at companies, out there. You look at the largest, electric car company in the world that starts with a T. I mean, they make a fortune on the carbon credits. As a matter of fact, that's the only place they turn a profit with is on the carbon credits. I do believe this is huge. I believe this is going to be a steady, reoccurring revenue stream for dynaCERT, and it is going to be very attractive for the end users also. We look at the strong shareholder base. I mean, we have 13% of the company is held by family offices, 42% by retail shareholders. We've got over 6,000 retail shareholders. Management and insiders hold just about 31%, 5% held by institutions. And then Mr. Eric Sprott holds 8% of the company. It was interesting. Eric Sprott, he invested a couple of years ago. When he first asked to invest, he wanted to have a conversation with me first. He said, Tim, I want to have a 20-minute conversation with you. We talked, and at first he was talking, he wanted to invest $2 million. After our conversation, which went on for about 45 minutes, he said, Jim, I changed my mind. I got to tell you, my heart sank. I thought, oh no, what did I say? What did I do? He came back, he says, I don't want to invest $2 million. I want 10% of the company. Long story short, I mean, Eric Sprott invested $15 million in the company, and he said, Jim, I believe in the future of carbon credits. I don't believe there's a company out there better positioned to take advantage of the carbon credits than dynaCERT. That's why he's invested. That's why he's holding his investment, and we are thrilled to have him as a significant shareholder. We look at the high barriers to entry. I mean, we have worldwide patents. Like I said, we hold 27 patents. We've got with unique electronic control units, which we call our Smart ECU. We've got technological advantage. Our product is very weather robust. It is designed to separate methods of H2 and O2. Lead time advantage. Like I said, we spent over $90 million, 19 years developing and commercializing this. We are there now. We are selling. And the thing that probably excites me the most, and even over the last month and the last couple months and the last couple weeks, is all the sales that we have coming in are repeat customers. We have customers, in the trucking industry, in the oil and gas industry, in the mining industry, that have bought, 1 unit, 5 units, 10 units. Then they come back, and now they're starting to outfit their fleets. I mean, we are talking companies that have bought, a couple and then a few more, and then come back and place orders for 250 units. Other companies for 80 units. Some companies, and so that to me, that says it all. I mean, it's a tough entry, but when you've got customers that are now coming back saying, we love your product, we are starting to outfit our fleets, to me, that's the win-win. And we've certainly got the first to market advantage. across many verticals within the trucking, mining, oil, gas, generators. Yeah, we just recently announced, matter of fact, just this week, we announced, and this is what I call positioning for the future. I mean, I'd mentioned I am a strong believer, and I always have been a strong believer in hydrogen. I believe hydrogen is, our current technology is a bridge to the hydrogen economy. I believe it is a very long bridge, a very well-established bridge, but while we are crossing that bridge to the hydrogen economy, dynaCERT has now acquired 15% of Cipher Neutron, which on a fully diluted basis gives us 20% of the company. We've positioned ourselves with this company for the long term of dynaCERT, of our shareholders, everything. Cipher Neutron is in the AEM technology. They are in pure green hydrogen. They have green hydrogen at the lowest, most affordable prices. Check Cipher Neutron out. I mean, they have been, just in the last few months, they've been gaining a lot of exposure. They have been around the world. You look on the right-hand side of this picture there. I mean, that is a unit. So I said last week we had a group of 50 companies here. They were amazed because, this is the only company that has a real working product, this is the largest AEM electrolyzer in the world. It's working. It's not a concept. It's not on the drawing board. It is actually done. It's working. It's proven, and they are now starting to market it. So, I mean, you look at the size of the market, that there is in green hydrogen. Now, it was also interesting, I look at green hydrogen, I look at the OEMs. I mean, just recently there was one of the major OEMs that manufactures the large, heavy mining equipment, the large, heavy construction equipment. They just unveiled their first hydrogen engine. Now they say it's 5 to 10 years before it'll be commercialized, but it was interesting. They said, they had spent tens of millions of dollars in EV. It didn't work. They spent tens of millions of dollars in trying to do a product where it was like a hybrid, and they didn't see the future there. Now they are developing pure hydrogen internal combustion engines. And so the CEO unveiled this, and he said, now what the world needs to do is get on board and find a way to develop pure, green, affordable hydrogen. And that's exactly what Cipher Neutron is doing. That's exactly why we have partnered with this company. We are very, very excited about this. Again, this is just showing the electrolyzer, very high efficient. It's an exciting company, an exciting opportunity. I think the opportunity is great. I really think that dynaCERT, you look at our stock price I firmly believe is underperformed for some time. I look back just pre-COVID, our stock price was at an all-time high. Everything was happening. We had just really started aggressively launching the sales, and then COVID came, shut us down for over 2 years. We could not sell. Our dealers couldn't sell. We couldn't do anything. And then, the last year we had, then after COVID, what were we faced with? EV. The government, that's all they were pounding. EV, EV, EV. We had so many customers that were looking at us, and even big bus companies and that, they said, we've now, government's going to subsidize us, we're going EV. Well, guess what? They've all come back. We're all in talks with them now because they said EV is not the future. And so I certainly think that there has never been a better time, better opportunity to get aligned with a company like dynaCERT, and with dynaCERT aligning itself with Cipher Neutron. I want to thank you very much, Sebastian. I will turn this back over to you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you going through that with us here. I just wanted to maybe ask some questions. Let's start on the sales side. So how is production going, and how is that translated into sales? I guess the main question that's coming across here from the line is, are you able to keep up with demand, or are you sitting on product at the moment?
We were sitting on product. Now we have all the product. We are back in production of the product, which I've got to be careful. I mean, we've got sales. We've got substantial sales, which will be announced in our first quarter. I mean, we had sales of over several hundred units, but because the way IFRS works now with public companies, until the product is, although you can have a sale, you can have an order, you can have a deposit. Deposit shows up as a liability. It does not show up as a sale until the units are shipped and out the door. It's not classified as a sale. So we have a lot of units going out the door. We are pushing to get as many out the door as we can before the end of this month, which is obviously the end of the second quarter, so that it will show up as revenue. But things are picking up very significantly. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it does. Just to follow on to that, the units that you currently have in the market, do you have a bit of a gauge as to which units those are and which markets are performing better?
We've got a lot of units out within the trucking industry. Oil and gas is in the drilling rigs. We've been having unbelievable results with. Matter of fact, they are very, very excited. And then the mining industry, again, the mining industry is the industry where they have very aggressively been going after this. We do have several large companies in the trucking industry that are familiar with our technology, that have tried them, but they are waiting. They say, Jim, as soon as the carbon credits are launched, they want the carbon credits. They want the carbon credits. They want it for not just the monetary value. They want it for the bragging rights. They want it for the ESG rights. The carbon credits are going to be the major catalyst, especially within the trucking industry.
And that actually makes a good segue to the carbon credits. So let's start back with the timeline. So we got a couple questions that are coming in here, wondering why Verra's sort of been sitting on approval for multiple months. I guess it's just a bunch of a bit of a bureaucracy to go and get the paperwork and the final signatures. Is that kind of where it stands at the moment?
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, Verra is. I've had this conversation with several people, and I don't know if you've looked at the management of the company recently. I mean, we've just actually announced a new president. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm changing the subject here, but this new president I'm very excited about. I mean, he's coming on board, very, very strong background within the diesel engine space. He's moving over from Europe, but we also brought in two very strong new individuals on our board, and one is a world-renowned expert within the carbon credit world. He has been over 20 years in the carbon credit world, and he is a professor. He's a doctor. He teaches this at the university, and he said to me, he said, Jim, he said, you picked the right road. He says, and believe me, he said, everybody knows Verra is probably the slowest and the most tough to get through. But at the end of the day, Verra is the only one that you want to be involved with, because all the big players within the carbon credits, i.e. the oil companies, the airlines, like that, the only carbon credits they will buy is Verra carbon credits. So I feel we've gone the right road. Yes, they've been slow, but yes, they have been working very closely with us in the last little while, and I do believe that we will see this and see an official launch within our carbon credits very quickly.
I guess it's like a permitting service, and you're not the only one that's asking for a permit, kind of things.
Okay.
So there's more people than just you that they're going after. Maybe I'll jump around here for a second. You had mentioned that you had a new hire that recently came on, which is Bernd. When you hired him, I know that some people are asking questions about this current financing, but it's my understanding that the primary objective of opening this financing here was to position Bernd with his own capital. He's putting his money where his mouth is when he's coming across the company. Can you talk a little about that?
No, you're absolutely right, Sebastian. I mean, he had talked to me, and so between himself and another colleague, I mean, he said, listen, I want, I'm coming on, I'm committed, I want to have skin in the game. And so we opened this up so that him and his colleague could take a significant position. So at the time we thought, well, we'll just open up. And it's not a big capital raise; it's $2.5 million, of which there's $1 million coming in from him and his colleague. So, but the primary objective was to allow him the opportunity of getting skin in the game before he started, which I greatly appreciate. Honestly, I've got a lot of skin in the game. Between myself, my wife, my kids, we are the largest shareholder of this company. Believe me, I've got this. I'm up to my eyebrows in this company, but I believe in it. That's why I'm there. But I think when I have people like Bernd coming on, and wants to have a position in the company before even stepping on, to me that says a lot about the guy.
No, very good. And then you talked, just to go back to the Vera credits. If companies have already purchased units that are on their vehicles, are they still eligible for credits, or is there a reason why people are waiting for you to get the stamp of approval? I mean, obviously it has a monetary benefit to them, but the benefit seemingly is pretty good even without the credits for some of these companies to get on board.
To be honest with you, that is still questionable whether now. As soon as a new company comes on board, it's considered a project. From that day forward, they get the carbon credit as soon as this approval is done. For the ones in the past, we will initiate a project, but you cannot go backwards. You can only go forwards.
Okay, gotcha. So that's the reason why you wouldn't have the additional sales of units until this Vera checkmark falls. And then I guess another question that I have here. There's mention of a large grocery store chain that was potentially interested in some of the HG2 reefer units. Is that still in chats?
It is, very much so.
Okay. And have you noticed that there's other industries that are starting to look at these kinds of things? Just, I mean, obviously you're talking about grocery stores and all these different places, but it could be hospitals, and the applications seem to be endless of where there may be diesel generators.
The diesel generators, it's interesting. Yes, there is a lot of interest, a lot of discussions recently. With there is so many companies out there that have the large diesel generators where they are only allowed to run them and under emergency status, where if they meet certain emissions, they can use it more often. And so, I mean, even as late as the last week, I mean, we've actually had meetings at companies here discussing that. And so we've got projects moving forward with that.
And I mean, the government's been pretty adamant, obviously, on giving handouts to new battery manufacturing plants and all these fun things. What kind of work has dynaCERT been doing to try to go and access some of the government capital that might be out there for an initiative like this?
We've had multiple conversations. We've had, matter of fact, last week we had government officials here. We've had so many government officials here. I've even had, dinner with the top of our government in the past, and they promised the world, but they are very reluctant to do much with a public company. With a private company, and this is one of the reasons we're very excited about Cipher Neutron being a private company, because it opens the doors to make the life a whole lot easier and a whole lot more accessible for government funding for that area than what there is for public companies.
I got a follow on to that point. It seems like you're talking about the government being more amenable maybe to put money into what could be a subsidiary of dynaCERT. Has that ever been a thought process to go and create maybe a sub company owned by the parent that could be the beneficiary of that direct funding from the government?
We have looked at possibilities like that. I'm not saying that it can or cannot be done. I mean, it would have to be something very specific, a very specific new venture. So,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then, is there an estimated time frame to get units into, your future plans for ships and locomotives? I mean, obviously that's something that has been on a lot of people's minds, especially when you go and you talk about actually how clean vehicles, carbon vehicles or internal combustion engines are these days. We're talking about that being the problem, but the real problem and polluter are these, massive container ships and locomotive type engines.
Yeah, locomotive, that will be happening this year. Locomotive is something that has already been initiated. And so has the large ocean-going freighters. But what the initiation is right now is, on the big freighters and stuff like that, there is a lot of certification processes that you have to go through, which we are we're in the middle of right now. So.
Great. And then going forward, do you expect that you will have quarterly earnings calls as you start to generate revenue?
I certainly do. I certainly expect that this year we will be turning a profit before the end of the year. Where we will be covering our nut. I know that right now. Today we've got to sell 150 units a month to cover our nut. So, if we look at what we are doing this quarter, a lot of these won't be shipped out till next quarter, because we're at the end of the month. But I do expect, within the third or fourth quarter of this year, where we will be showing a very healthy profit.
So is that
we've got a large tax loss going forward, so we've got a fair runway before we get nailed with taxes.
So it sounds like then by the end of the year you'll be averaging higher than 100 units outbound per month, or 150 units outbound per month.
We expect to be well above that, yes.
And are there any specific mining companies with projects worldwide that you've been talking to? You did mention that you have an independent sales group. The question here is regarding sort of what the commissions are to those sales groups when you work with them.
Well, we wholesale to the sales group. Like I said, we are a manufacturer. We sell through dealers. So this company, H2 Tech, they are a dealer. They are a global dealer. They have a network set up globally within the mining industry, but we wholesale to them. They retail, and then however they distribute or however they pay out to their sales or organization globally is up to them. But our wholesale cost, our wholesale price is, there is like a 35% difference between our wholesale price and the retail price, and so.
Yeah, no, I understand. And the other question is, if you were to meet the guidelines where you're healthy and revenue positive by the end of the year, the question is, I suspect that there won't be another capital raise on the back of this one, or will you be able to use, are there outstanding warrants that may be able to come in to fund the company as the share price increases?
There is outstanding warrants. The warrants are, so, and the warrants all carry an acceleration clause. We do believe that the warrants would likely be exercised before the end of this year. So we are not looking at or anticipating a capital raise.
And what's the timeline, the follow-up, what's the timeline on closing this current capital raise?
We expect with sometime between now and the end of next week.
Great. All right. Well, it looks like that is the last of the questions. I thank you very much, Jim. Maybe I'll pass it over to you for one last commentary. Obviously, reminding everybody that June 27th is the AGM, and Jim did mention that the group is very hopeful of a response from Vera prior to that. So fingers crossed for everybody that may be a shareholder on the line or new to the company. Yeah, and there's another one. There's a nice comment just to end this. Let's do this. Our Brazilian company NSI is proud to be part of this project. Imports are underway. Well, there you go. Anything else to leave us with there, Jim?
No, I mean, it's funny that Brazilian company just came on, because you're right. I mean, we do have a lot of companies within Brazil and around the world that are utilizing our product. But no, Sebastian, I just want to thank you for this. I don't want to thank everybody for their time and their opportunity. Yes, our AGM is the 27th this month. Typically, we bring in a crowd of over 100 people. It's not like your typical AGM where it's just held in your lawyer's office and just a rubber stamp. We will be unveiling some exciting things here, and certainly our new president will be here, which I'm very, very excited to have the opportunity to meet everybody, and along with our new board members and that also. So I think the company is very, very well positioned, for the future. There is no question, I am excited about this company. I am very well invested in this company. I am 100% committed to this company. Having said that, I do believe that my time is probably getting to the point where, I'm proud and glad to be bringing in some younger and more aggressive people into the company, where I will eventually step back. I am now, you had mentioned before, I'm the CEO and president. I am no longer the president. I'm the CEO and chairman of the company.
That's right.
I expect that, I will work with the president for the next, period of time. But at some point, I will step back and just stay on as chairman of the board. And, as new management comes in and grows this company and takes it to whole new heights and new levels.
Well, sometimes people take for granted how difficult it is to run a company, let alone a company with many employees in manufacturing and trying to go get new sales out and also trying to sell a new innovative idea. So we thank you for your hard work, and as a shareholder, I very much look forward to what's to come. I'm excited for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.